Yo, 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 how are you, Dan?
I'm very well. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm happy to kick off a new month.
Absolutely. New month, meaning new theme. Tommy, a reminder for those at home, what's our theme today?
Sci-fi September for this month. It's we made our way through Action August with some, it's not a favourite genre of mine, so it was quite difficult to find the right movies to review. But this, we've been waiting months, haven't we?
We have. So, this month is absolutely special, especially with the film that I have been dying to review since what, April?
At least
At least. So, it's time. It's time.
we are kicking off this month with Back to the Future, a film from 1985. I don't know what it was certificated.
PG, I think it was the
Yeah,
original.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a family movie, isn't it? So it's it's very standard.
Yep.
The two sequels only land as generally good films, but no sequel to this series would be able to top the original. Do you agree?
Yep. I agree.
The sheer amount of effort and thought that must have gone into the writing of this film is nothing short of brilliance alone. Time travel films are always difficult to get right.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? But when films like Terminator and Avengers Endgame may sway, this film swings and hits its aim perfectly. Beyond the music, style, and language that makes you appreciate both 1985 and 1955, this film also tells a great coming-of-age story for Marty's parents that comes to a joyful climax during the Earth Angel sequence, where the Earth Angel song plays, and Marty plays the song on the stage. Also, I do not idolise this film due to childhood nostalgia, as I did not watch this film until I was 21 years of age, but boy am I glad I did so.
Hey, I didn't watch it till earlier this year, so you
I know.
done better than me.
But isn't that just a testament to how good it is? Because it's not a childhood nostalgic thing for us, like something like Toy Story would be.
Yeah.
Obviously, Toy Story's great, but we do rely on nostalgia for it as well, don't we?
Yeah.
Whereas with this, it's a new experience for us that we've watched in our adult lives, and it's just as thrilling as it would have been otherwise. So to close, this film is my third favourite film of all time, a product of its time, way ahead of its time, and overall timeless. Did I mention time too much?
I don't know. We've got time.
And you had to fit one in. And on that relatively short note, I am going to immediately award this film 5 stars out of 5. Hitting the ground running, Dan. What would you give it out of 5?
Absolutely, I would give it, and I'd give it a 5. Of course, I'd give it a 5.
Got to be done.
It's got to be done. It is a 5-star masterpiece.
What about 2 and 3? What would you rate those?
You go first.
I would probably rate.
Number 2, you'd rate.
I think I'd rate both 2 and 3 the same. I think I'd rate them both 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I would go for 1 and 2,
Mhm.
5.
Right.
Number 3, I would probably go 3.5 to 4.
Mhm.
Now, I've kind of juggled the ratings a little bit there. Let me just explain. I think number 2 is a bit. I'm actually gonna. I thought about this the other day. I'm gonna compare it to Toy Story a little bit, right?
Okay.
Toy Story 2, you got a whole new story. You got some new characters as well.
Mhm.
You saw them differently.
Yeah. It weren't really about getting new characters in Back to the Future Part 2, was it? It was just about seeing different versions of them.
Exactly.
Like Biff, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're not gonna spoil it too
No.
much, but basically, I agree. I think with number 2, that it got a little bit more complex.
Yeah.
Now, again, 2 and 3 are both rated PG, but 2 and 3 do contain some mild language. Just a parental note if you wanted to watch that as a family. But still, it is with 2 and 3. Or 2 especially, I just thought number 1 was a masterpiece start to finish. Number 2 kind of showed you things that you've been told in the first film, like you meddle with it too much and everything has a consequence, and you kind of see that in a more complicated way. I had to watch it a few times to actually fully appreciate what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not that it's a complicated film, but it's just they didn't leave a single detail out, did they?
They didn't, and it was a great because they hadn't done this before in film, where they filmed the same actor in one shot when there's two of them.
Yeah.
So you've got like Michael J. Fox in the shot with Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
They had done that before,
For its time, it is well ahead of its time. I mean, obviously, okay, they went into 2015, and obviously some of the technology that they see there as cutting edge and amazing.
Where's my hoverboard?
Well, we're looking at it. I mean, like the microwave where you put the thing in and it comes out within seconds. That thing.
Yeah.
Looking at it visually looks dated. Obviously, they weren't going to get it right because obviously it is a film here. But
You can't predict the future.
No, you can't. But this film was not far off the future, though. To be fair to it,
I think.
it
Well,
was ahead. Way ahead. When we say it's ahead of its time, I mean literally when I'm saying that.
they predicted hoverboards. We get segways.
It's close enough, though.
Yeah. To a degree. I think part 2 is really a one-of-a-kind sequel because not many films can just go back to the first film, for example.
Yeah, and I think what I liked about it as well, whilst the first film was about going into the past,
Yeah.
the second film was about going into the future, but they weren't in the future for very long. They came back and then went into the past again,
Yep.
where they knew they could have some on-screen accuracy of the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that is my single most impressive part of that film.
Yep.
Number 3, I just felt that it went on a little bit. Like, they didn't, it wasn't as immersive, it wasn't as complicated. It was very, like, you're in this place, you're going to be stuck in this place. I didn't feel that it connected the story together like it did when number 2 went back to number 1.
I think
There's no connection back there.
I think I ever so slightly prefer number 3 to number 2 because I think in part 3, which is of course a western technically,
Yes.
you have more of an opportunity to explore the character of Doc. Because everything's moving so fast in Back to the Future Part 2 that in Part 3 you can just stop for a minute, take a breather, and learn a bit more about the character of Doc. Because obviously it's very Marty-centric in the first film, and the second film for that matter. But in the third film, you get a chance to find out a bit more about Doc, as Marty's kind of still in the process of learning his lessons. Like not to be offended when people call him chicken and stuff, and all that. But all round, I think I rate part 2 and part 3 the same, but I would ever so slightly. It gun to my head, I'd probably have to pick part 3 over part 2. But it doesn't matter because all 3 of them are very watchable films. And part 1, for me, is just one of the greatest cinematic achievements of any time.
Yeah, and that has to be the best. We can agree, hand on hand, that's the best one.
Easily, yeah.
100%.
Which is always difficult because in trilogies, it's very difficult to make all 3 films as good as they can be. Like I can name loads of trilogies out there where there's always a weak link. And there's not necessarily a weak link in this one. I mean, obviously, some people are going to prefer one film over the other, but all 3 of them are just very watchable films.
I mean, when I'm picking on number 3, right, on this trilogy, I am actually barrel scraping to find something wrong.
Yeah.
Because they are 3 cinematic masterpieces.
Yeah.
Easily a great box set.
And they're also, all 3 of them, they're quite great homages to American history.
Yes, they are, actually.
I've never really viewed it from that angle, but it's just occurred to me that, especially in the first film, playing Chuck Berry, Johnny B. Good, a lot of music from classic era of American history.
And again, the second film, very clever when they went into the future and then they went into an 80s bar playing Michael Jackson. I thought, He's clever.
Well, that is very clever, isn't it? Because obviously, this part 2 was released in 1989, and so naturally, the 80s was all they knew at that stage. So why not just make a bar dedicated to that, and then that way you can be nothing but accurate.
It's as if they appreciated the fact or knew the fact that we'd love the 80s today as much as we did back then.
I think overall that is the charm of Back to the Future in that. You can either watch it on your own. You can watch it as someone who doesn't remember or wasn't alive in 1985 or 1955, but you can still learn about what life was like back then through the movie. Whereas if you watch it with someone like your parents or your grandparents, they can be nostalgic over it because it's touching on what they were there for.
Yeah, I think absolutely amazing. Well, Tommy, we're going to leave it there, but we cannot avoid the fact that within the next 10 minutes, we are going to stick on the tune. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I do.
You do. So we're going to stick on a bit of Huey Lewis and the News for you in just a second. Before we do, though, Tommy, another little favourite of ours, and you're sticking around for the brain-hurting answer anyway, so you're going nowhere.
I'm literally sellotaped to the seat so I can't move. If someone's hearing, please help me, because Dan is holding me hostage.
Whatever, you'll get over it. Right, let's play this for now, though, from Avril Lavigne. It's I'm With You.